So the topic for today is, sorry, let me move my webcam so it's on the same screen as the presentation. That always helps. Is a job to love. And we're going to discuss how it can be kind of hard these days to find the right job. A lot of us get into our 40s and 50s and realize, I'm not very happy with what I'm doing. Maybe I want to do something else. The goal of kind of going through this is to give you a really good sense of of why you want the job. Why are you going to college? Are you headed in the right direction for what you want to do? This is actually based on a book. It's called A Job to Love, and it's printed by the School of Life books, which are cute little books that kind of give you education or background on some of these hard life choices. I kind of liked how it presented the material. So for most of history, the question of whether we might love our work would have seemed laughable or peculiar. So up until the recent history, we haven't had a choice about our work. And I'd have to say, even in modern times, for the lower class, that they are really not looking for a job that's fulfilling and wonderful. They're just looking for a job that puts food on the table. But one of the whole reasons to go to college, to continue your education, is to find a job that you love. And the book kind of compares it used to be that you didn't marry for love either, that there was arranged marriages, and the whole purpose was to, unite two families together to utilize resources. And so as our lives change, as we try to find, a great partner to be with and a great job, that's a lot of things to ask from one relationship and one job. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what we need to look for a job to actually find a job that we love. So they kind of present this as it simply should be a case of following your instincts. We'll find a good career which unites the practical goal of earning an income with a sense of inner fulfillment by just following our feelings. One day we're walking around and, I know what I want to be now. In fact, we kind of assume this. We ask 4th and 5th graders, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And we expect an answer, and we kind of expect them to hold true to that answer as they grow up, which is kind of odd. How are you supposed to know when you have no idea of what the working world is like, what you want to be? And I'd have to say, even beginning college, when maybe you've only had fast food jobs or temporary jobs, how are you supposed to know what kind of career is going to suit you best? And a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of frustration is wasted on picking the wrong career. I've seen so many of even my friends go through college, pay $50,000 for a 4-year degree, come out of college, after 3 months on the job, say, this is not what I want to do. So then, because of that college degree, sometimes they're able to transition to other things that are closely related, or sometimes they have to start over. And so kind of the goal is to make sure that the job that you're going after here at college is actually the job that you want, and that you understand the good and the bad parts of those careers. So hopefully, that following your instincts is always a good thing, but hopefully we can do a look at the job in a broader picture to be sure we're going in the right direction. Sorry for that head cold, it just won't go away. So some of the obstacles we run into in finding a fulfilling job are a lack of skills. And that's basically why you're going to college, is to get those skills so that you can meet all those job requirements and have that job. And we've done a really good job of having colleges and all this education to be able to learn skills. It's really not the hugest obstacle. And the second one is a lack of information about opportunities. So maybe you have all the skills, but you have no idea what job that relies on, what job that would lead to. Maybe there's jobs that you're not hearing about them, or you don't know. I had a similar situation. I went to college and I switched my major to engineering, and I had never met an engineer. I lived in small town Idaho, and We didn't have a lot of engineers in our small town. So that was kind of more of a lack of information about the opportunities. But the last one I think is our true obstacle, is a lack of a coherent goal. How do we discover what we're really good at and what we really enjoy? And what process is there for you to find that out? You go to college, find the skills, you can do stuff with career services and meeting people to learn about information about opportunities. But how much time do we really spend on figuring out what we're good at and what we enjoy? In fact, it doesn't even usually enter into the conversation when you're asking about what job you want. So we're going to spend just a few minutes today trying to get down to some of that nitty-gritty. What are you good at and what do you enjoy? So we laugh that at a young age, you're just supposed to get this calling, this word from above, you shall be a dentist. Look, you have beautiful front teeth, you should just be a dentist. And then sometimes going all the way through, middle school and then high school and entering college is like, I've always wanted to be a dentist. Without really thinking, what does being a dentist mean? Do you really enjoy working with people? Does the smell of a rotten tooth make you ill or not? Are you going to be able to manage your own small business? Most dentists work in private practice around here. So all these questions about what does a dentist job actually look like sometimes never go through people's heads when they say, oh, that's what I'm going to be and that's what I want to be. So once again, trying to kind of get down to how have you decided what career you want to be in, and have you looked at all the different factors that go into enjoying and wanting to be a part of that career. So here's going to be your writing prompts. These will show up in the discussion board for you. Remember 3 things you enjoyed doing as a child and write them down. And what we're kind of trying to get at is when there was no sense of work and no sense of time limits, what did you do that you enjoyed? So example from my childhood, and we're thinking, maybe like 2nd through 5th grade, when you really are playing. You're not doing video games or hanging out with friends quite so much in those elementary years. And like my number one things is we live on a farm, and I like to go build forts, which is kind of an odd thing for a girl, but I did end up being an engineer. But I like the sourcing the materials. I used to go around and try to find all the different pieces and building stuff, and then I like showing my little sisters. So part of it was the building part, and the other part I really enjoyed was, revealing my great plan to the rest of the family. So if I remember when I'm doing that activity, what was the best part to me? I think the best part was the planning, like imagining what it's going to be like when I have it built. And luckily I had a great imagination, so even though it was, cardboard and sticks and pieces of plywood, sometimes it was the coolest castle in my mind, the great part. And so if you're sitting in class, I'd have you kind of distill that down to what is something you like. So for my example, I'm someone who likes to plan. I'm someone who likes to create and imagine what the end product's going to look like. I'm someone that likes to involve others at the end of my plan instead of the beginning. Usually I wouldn't let my sisters have any input on what my fancy fort castle was going to look like. So in the discussion board, kind of follow along those same things. What are 3 things you enjoyed doing as a child? What was the best part of those activities? And can you kind of distill that down to, I'm someone who really likes to do these things. And maybe you've changed a lot since you were a child. But I find even, that I'm 41, and that was a long time ago that I was in 2nd and 3rd grade, that those deep down things that I really enjoyed back then have kind of held true through my whole life. There we go. So pleasure points of work. So everyone finds fulfillment in a different way. And the book goes through 12 different pleasures of work. And some of these are really important to people, and some don't really resonate with it. They could care less. So I think the number one, the pleasure of making money, that one doesn't rate real high for me. I probably wouldn't be in education and switched over from an engineering degree if making money was my highest priority or what I received the most pleasure from. Working to help support my family is pretty important, so I do need to make some money. I'm not willing to do things for free, but that would be lower down on my list. The pleasure of beauty. I like to be creative. I don't really have the artistic eye required to make beautiful things, so that one's pretty low on my list. The pleasure of creativity. I really do like to create things, and so in my current job as an instructional designer, I get to take, you know, an idea from a class and flesh it all out and have all the different pieces, and I like that. The pleasure of understanding. So this kind of the science side of things that I like is I like to learn new things and understand how the world works. So that would rate pretty high for me. The pleasure of self-expression. Usually I'm doing others' projects, so I don't often get to do my own, and I kind of miss that in this job, so that one rates fairly high for me. The pleasure of technology. I'm just naturally fairly tech savvy. I coach robotics teams. I like the new things. I like finding out how they work and how they can be a tool in my job. So that one's pretty high. The pleasure of helping other people. I spend most of my day doing tech support items, and I actually will skip lunch and skip doing stuff, you know, that are on my own project to help other people, so that one rates high for me too. The pleasure of leading. I have been a boss in the past and led things. That one rates a little bit lower for me. I actually find it to be like a great responsibility. If I'm the boss and I feel like I need to take care, help other people underneath me, which creates quite a bit of stress. So that one would be kind of low for me. The pleasure of teaching. Even when I was an engineer, I spent about half of my time teaching others. It's something that's always kind of come naturally for me. Maybe it's being the oldest child of 4 children that, you know, I was always trying to get my younger sisters to do what I wanted. So but that one would be high. The pleasure of independence. And I think this is something that people don't know, but if you don't go to college and you have a standard manual wage job, someone's always going to be your boss, and they're going to be your boss in a pretty tight regimen. You will show up when they tell you to show up, and you will leave when they tell you to leave, and they will control every piece of the work that you do. The more freedom and independence you have, because you have a degree, because you have skills, like nobody knows when I arrive, no one knows when I leave. As long as I get my job done, however I do it on my own time is my own thing. And that is a very important part of work for me. I think I'd probably be self-employed if I didn't have as much freedom as I've found in some of the academic settings. The pleasure of order. I'm a mess. Order is not an important thing in my life at all. If you had a wider angle, you could see my desk is full of papers. I actually kind of enjoy chaos. Maybe it's living with 3 children and a dairy farm, and we never have time to keep things perfect. But I'm definitely not a type A person when it comes to order. The pleasure of nature. I really do like being outside. Around my office, I actually have pictures of my flower gardens. That one's probably going to rate in the middle for me. I mean, I've always had jobs where I've worked indoors at a computer. I've not been out in nature. But some of my favorite jobs are ones where, like, it's a really nice day outside. So that's the day I'm going to go out and do all my field work. And that's work with me. So maybe kind of walk through these through your mind. Which ones are important to you and which ones are not so important, and which ones are, you know, if the job had that, it actually would be a detriment. And just kind of think about that. So this is just some different examples of jobs. So looking at the people in these positions, what do you think their pleasures of work are? You know, if you're in an office setting, if you're in a construction setting, one looks like an automotive, a hairdresser, an AutoCAD plans maker. I actually told engineering, a lot of my colleagues were going into drafting. AutoCAD was kind of a new thing 20 years ago. And I actually said, you know, you can pay me half of what my other classmates are getting if I don't have to do AutoCAD all day. I was able to do it, but it was definitely not my favorite thing. So maybe just kind of think about, you know, the jobs represented here and and what do you think they find the most pleasure in their work in? So now this is kind of the second part of the prompt for this, is what is your perfect job description? Like, if I saw this in the paper or online on a job board, I'd be applying and I'd be a perfect fit for it. So usually a job description, list here's your skills and abilities, and then here's kind of your personality that fits in. Maybe go find a job description out on a job board to kind of use as a template. But put together what would be your perfect job description. And maybe this is for when you graduate out of TVCC or graduate out of your 4-year program. What is the perfect job description that you're going to be looking for? So why are we going to all this work, and why does this really matter? So your why of why you want to have this new position or this new job is going to be the key to getting you through college. College is hard, it's a sacrifice, it costs money, it costs time. Sometimes it's really rewarding, sometimes it's horribly frustrating. But if you have a really clear picture of this is what I was meant to do in life, and the only way for me to be able to do that is to get this degree, it's going to make it a lot easier to stick with it and accomplish that goal. So that's the end of my presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions, but I look forward to seeing your replies on the discussion board.